By the time Lena Moretti walked into the Manhattan hospital alone, 5 months pregnant and drenched from the September rain, her baby hadn't moved in nearly 3 hours. She had $22 in her wallet, no insurance, no family she trusted enough to call, and one phone number she had sworn she would never use again. At 3:11 in the morning, Lena sat beneath the cold fluorescent lights of obstetric triage with one hand pressed against her belly and her cracked phone trembling in the other. The number was still there. She had never deleted it. That was the part she hated admitting, not even to herself, because the number belonged to Victor Moretti, the man she had loved more deeply than she had ever believed possible, the man she had run away from while carrying his child, and the man whose name could silence a room from New York to Sicily. Victor Moretti, head of the Moretti family, the mafia boss she had once called her husband. Lena pressed her palm harder against her stomach. "Come on, baby," she whispered. "Just move once. Give mommy one little kick and I won't call him." Nothing. Her eyes filled with tears. "Please." Still nothing. Lena stared at the phone. 5 months. She had spent 5 months hiding from Victor. 5 months changing apartments, paying cash, avoiding cameras, working nights, and pretending she had never belonged to the Moretti world. And now she was about to destroy all of it with one phone call. Her thumb touched the screen. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. She almost hung up. Then, hello? Lena stopped breathing. That voice, deep, rough with sleep, unmistakable. For 5 months, she had imagined what it would feel like to hear Victor again. In every version, she was stronger, colder. She would tell him she didn't need him. She would tell him she had survived without his money, his protection, and his suffocating world. Reality was different. Tonight, she was terrified. Victor. Silence. Absolute silence. Then she heard his breathing change. "Lena?" There was no sleep left in his voice, only shock, then urgency. "Where are you?" Lena closed her eyes. "If our child still means anything to you." A door slammed on the other end of the call. "Lena, where are you? You need to come." "What happened?" She tried to answer. Nothing came out. "Lena?" That voice again. The voice that made powerful men stop talking. But tonight something underneath the authority frightened her more than the authority itself. Fear. "Tell me what happened." Lena covered her mouth as tears rolled down her cheeks. She stopped moving. Victor went completely silent. "Our daughter," Lena whispered. "I can't feel her anymore." Another door slammed. Then voices. Victor was already moving. "Which hospital?" she told him. "I'm coming." "Victor, do not hang up. You don't have to." "Lena." His voice broke. She had never heard Victor Moretti's voice break. Not once. "Please," he said, "don't hang up." Before Lena could answer, a nurse hurried into the room. "Mrs. Moretti, we need to do the ultrasound now." Lena froze. Victor had heard the name. Moretti. The name she had spent 5 months trying to erase. "I have to go," she whispered. "Lena, wait." She ended the call. And somewhere across Manhattan, the most feared man she had ever known was coming for her. 4 hours earlier, Lena had been pouring coffee at an all-night diner in Hell's Kitchen. Nobody there knew who she really was. To the customers, she was simply Lena. Quiet, polite, always willing to take the graveyard shift. She wore oversized sweaters to hide her pregnancy. She never talked about family, never posted pictures online, never paid with a credit card. And every time a black luxury sedan stopped outside the diner, her heart jumped. Marisol, the night cook, had noticed. "You're either hiding from somebody," she had joked once, "or you watch way too many crime movies." Lena had laughed. Marisol had no idea how close she was to the truth. That night, shortly before 11, Lena walked toward booth 7 with a pot of coffee. Her free hand automatically settled over her belly. Usually, her daughter responded. A kick, a roll, sometimes a sharp little jab that made Lena smile even after 10 hours on her feet. "Easy, little girl," Lena would whisper. "Mommy's working." But tonight there was nothing. She poured the coffee, pressed her palm against her stomach. Nothing. The customer looked up. You okay? Yeah. The answer came too quickly. Lena forced a smile. Just tired. Just tired. It had become her favorite lie. It explained the dark circles beneath her eyes, her worn out shoes, the cheap room she rented in Washington Heights, the double shifts, the fact that some nights her dinner consisted of crackers and whatever food the diner was going to throw away. But being tired couldn't explain why her daughter had suddenly gone silent. Lena stepped behind the counter. Come on, she whispered. She pressed both hands against her belly. Kick, Mommy. Nothing. She drank some orange juice, waited. Still nothing. Then the room tilted. The coffee pot slipped from her hand. It shattered against the tile. Lena! Marisol caught her before she hit the floor. Sit down. I'm okay. If you say that one more time, I'm going to slap you myself. Lena tried to laugh. She couldn't. Marisol's eyes dropped toward her stomach. Her expression changed. The baby? Lena froze. What? I've been watching you for 20 minutes. You keep touching your stomach. Marisol had raised 3 children. She knew. When did you last feel her move? I don't know. Lena. Maybe 2 hours ago. Marisol checked the clock. Closer to 3. Cold fear crawled through Lena's body. We're going to the hospital. No. Marisol stared at her. What do you mean, no? I can't. You almost collapsed. I can't go to a hospital. Marisol studied her face. Then her voice softened. Are you running from someone? Lena said nothing. Did the baby's father hurt you? No. The answer was immediate, because that was the complicated truth. Victor had never hit her, never insulted her, never cheated on her. Sometimes Lena wished the explanation had been that simple. Victor's mistake was far more difficult to explain. He had loved her. Too much. So much that somewhere along the way, his love had become a cage. Lena had met Victor Moretti 2 years earlier at an art exhibition in Chelsea. She was 26 and working for a small contemporary gallery. Victor was 37, tall, dark-haired, impeccably dressed. He had the kind of presence that changed the temperature of a room. Lena didn't know who he was. She only noticed a handsome stranger standing alone in front of an abstract painting. You hate it, she said. Victor turned toward her. Excuse me? The painting. She nodded toward the canvas. You've been staring at it for 10 minutes like it personally offended you. For a second, he just stared. Then he laughed. Several people nearby turned toward them. Lena would later understand why. Very few people joked with Victor Moretti. Almost nobody made him laugh. Do you know who I am? He asked. Should I? His smile widened. No. He extended his hand. Victor. Lena. He held her hand a second longer than necessary. That was how it began. Flowers, late dinners, walks through Manhattan. Victor could be unexpectedly gentle. He listened when she spoke, remembered how she took her coffee, remembered every tiny detail she mentioned. And when he looked at her, Lena had the dangerous feeling that she was the only woman alive. It took months before she understood exactly who he was. The Moretti family controlled businesses stretching from New York to Italy. Some were perfectly legitimate: shipping, real estate, restaurants, hotels. Other businesses were discussed only behind closed doors, and Victor stood at the center of all of it. When Lena finally confronted him, she was furious. Why didn't you tell me? Victor looked at her for a long time. Because for the first time in years, a woman looked at me and saw a man instead of the Moretti name. And now? He touched her cheek. Now I'm afraid you're going to leave. She didn't. She was already in love with him. A year later, she became his wife. At first, life with Victor felt unreal. A villa on Lake Como, a penthouse overlooking Manhattan, private flights, restaurants that somehow always had a table available when Victor arrived. But slowly, things changed. Don't take the subway anymore. Why? It isn't safe. Then, Marco will drive you. A few months later, Marco and another man will go with you. Lena stared at him. Victor, I'm going to an art gallery, not a war zone. You're my wife. Exactly. Your wife, not a hostage. Victor's expression hardened. You don't understand the people around me. Then explain them to me. I'm trying to protect you. At first, she accepted it. Then someone photographed her outside the gallery. A few days later, Victor received an envelope. Inside was the photograph. On the back were 6 words. The next bullet won't be for you. Everything changed after that. Victor doubled her security, then doubled it again. Lena couldn't walk down the street alone, couldn't go shopping without someone following her, couldn't meet a friend without Victor knowing where she was. If she was 20 minutes late, her phone rang. Where are you? At the gallery. You were supposed to finish at 6. We got busy. My driver says you haven't come downstairs. Lena went silent. You asked the driver to report where I am? I asked him to keep you safe. You're monitoring me. I'm protecting you. One night, Lena finally exploded. I am not one of your businesses. Victor stared at her. I never said you were. You don't have to. Everything I do has to be approved by you. There are people who would hurt you to get to me. Then maybe I'm not the problem, Victor. His face changed. Maybe the problem is the world you live in. The words hurt him. She could see it, but neither of them knew how to fix what was happening. Then Lena discovered she was pregnant. 2 lines appeared on a pregnancy test. For 10 minutes, she sat alone on the bathroom floor and cried with happiness. She wanted to run to Victor. She knew how badly he wanted children. She imagined his face when she told him. Then another image entered her mind. A 5-year-old girl walking through a park with 2 armed men behind her. A 10-year-old girl being driven everywhere. A 16-year-old girl whose father investigated every boy who spoke to her. A child growing up inside the same beautiful cage that was slowly suffocating Lena. For the first time, love wasn't enough. She began planning her escape, quietly, carefully. Then one night, Victor had to fly to Italy. Before leaving their bedroom, he turned toward her. Come with me. To Milan? Anywhere. She forced a smile. I have work at the gallery. Victor approached her. He gently lifted her chin. What's happening with you? Her heart almost stopped. Nothing. You feel far away. I'm tired. Victor studied her, then kissed her forehead. I love you. Lena bit the inside of her cheek to keep herself from crying. I love you too. Those were the last words she said to him before disappearing. After his car left, Lena packed one bag. No designer clothes, no expensive jewelry. Just documents, a few photographs, simple clothes, and the cash she had secretly saved. She left her wedding ring on the nightstand. Beside it was a note. Don't look for me. Then she disappeared into the city. Victor discovered the pregnancy after she was gone. A bottle of prenatal vitamins had fallen behind a cabinet in their bathroom. When he found it, he understood. For days, his people searched everywhere: airports, hotels, train stations, apartments. Victor barely slept, until a message arrived from an unknown number. I'm safe. The baby is safe. If you ever loved me, don't make me run again. Victor read it over and over. Then he did something nobody around him expected. He stopped the search, but before putting down the phone, he sent one reply. You can hate me. You can disappear forever if that's what you need. But if our child ever needs me, call me once, just once. I'll come. Lena never answered. Until tonight. At the hospital, the doctor slowly moved the ultrasound probe across Lena's abdomen. She watched his face. Every tiny change in his expression terrified her. Can you find the heartbeat? The doctor didn't answer immediately. Please. The nurse glanced toward him. Lena saw the look between them. Her blood went cold. Tell me. The doctor finally spoke. Your baby is alive. Lena broke into tears. Thank God. But we have a problem. Her relief vanished. What kind of problem? The heart rate isn't where we want it. We need to act quickly. Is she going to be okay? The doctor hesitated, and that hesitation gave Lena the answer he couldn't promise. Suddenly, shouting erupted in the hallway. Sir, you cannot enter this unit. Heavy footsteps followed. Fast, determined. Lena slowly turned toward the door. She knew those footsteps. She had heard them approaching their bedroom hundreds of times. No. The door opened. Two hospital security officers were trying to stop a tall man in a rain-soaked black suit. His dark hair was wet. His breathing was heavy. His face was pale, but his eyes searched for only one person. Her. Victor Moretti stopped in the doorway. For the first time in 5 months, he saw his wife. His gaze moved over her pale face, the IV in her arm, the monitors, then her pregnant belly. Victor stopped breathing. The feared head of the Moretti family stood completely frozen, his eyes filled with tears. Lena. She looked at him. Every emotion she had buried for 5 months came rushing back at once. Anger, fear, longing, love. Victor. He crossed the room. And to the shock of everyone watching, the mafia boss dropped to his knees beside the woman who had run away from him. He took her hand. I'm here. Lena started crying. I'm scared. Victor pressed her trembling hand against his forehead. I know. What if we lose her? He looked up, and Lena saw something she had never seen in Victor Moretti before. Helplessness. He wasn't afraid of enemies. He wasn't afraid of losing money. He wasn't afraid of dying. He was terrified of losing them. The doctor stepped forward. Mr. Moretti, we need to talk. Your daughter's condition is serious. Victor slowly stood. The vulnerability disappeared from his face, replaced by terrifying focus. Tell me what needs to be done. The doctor glanced at Lena. We need to make some decisions quickly. Victor tightened his grip around Lena's hand. Then the doctor added, but there is something about your wife's pregnancy you need to know first. Victor froze. His eyes moved toward Lena. What? Lena looked away, because the pregnancy wasn't the only secret between them, and what Victor was about to discover would force both of them to confront the real reason she had disappeared. Victor Moretti stood beside Lena's hospital bed, his hand still wrapped around hers. What do I need to know? The doctor looked at Lena first. Mrs. Moretti, do I have your permission to continue? Lena felt Victor's fingers tighten slightly around hers. She had two choices. Keep hiding the truth for a few more minutes, or finally let Victor see what the last 5 months had really cost her. She closed her eyes. Tell him. The doctor nodded. Your wife hasn't received consistent prenatal care. According to what she told us, she hasn't had a proper follow-up appointment in several months. Victor turned toward her so quickly that Lena flinched. What? His voice wasn't loud. That made it worse. Lena. She pulled her hand away. Not now. You haven't been seeing a doctor? Victor, please. You've been pregnant for 5 months and you haven't... He stopped himself. Lena stared at him. There it was. That same expression. That same instinct to take control. The very thing she had run from. Finish the sentence, Victor. He said nothing. Go ahead. Say it. Tell me I didn't take care of your child properly. I wasn't going to say that. Yes, you were. Lena, this isn't the time. She gave a bitter laugh. That's interesting because you've been here less than 10 minutes and you're already doing it again. Victor frowned. Doing what? Taking over, judging, deciding. I'm lying in a hospital bed terrified that something is wrong with our daughter, and somehow I'm already answering to you. Because I was afraid. His voice thundered through the room. Everyone went silent. Victor closed his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was lower. I was afraid every single day for 5 months. Lena looked at him. So was I. Then why did you do this alone? The question hit harder than she expected. Because the alternative was you. Victor went still. Lena wiped the tears from her face. Do you know how much money I had when I walked into this hospital? He didn't answer. $22. Victor's eyes dropped. I work at a diner. I live in a room where the radiator works when it feels like it. Some nights I eat whatever food is left after customers leave. God, Lena. And do you know the worst part? She looked directly into his eyes. Sometimes that life felt easier than coming back to you. The words landed like a physical blow. Victor didn't move. For the first time, Lena saw something unfamiliar on his face. Shame, not anger, not wounded pride. Shame. The doctor stepped between them. You can continue this conversation later. Right now, we need to stabilize your wife and monitor the baby. Victor turned toward him. What do you need? Time and quiet. I can have specialists here within. No. Victor stopped. The doctor held his gaze. We don't need you to turn this hospital into your headquarters, Mr. Moretti. We need you to let us do our jobs. Under any other circumstances, Lena might have smiled. Very few people spoke to Victor that way. Even fewer walked away afterward without regretting it. But Victor simply nodded. All right. Then he looked at Lena. I'm staying. She didn't answer. The next hour felt endless. Doctors came and went. Machines beeped. Every sound from the fetal monitor made Lena's heart jump. Victor remained in the corner. He didn't make calls. He didn't issue orders. He didn't demand special treatment. He simply waited. Occasionally, Lena caught him watching her. Each time, she looked away. Then his phone vibrated. Victor glanced at the screen, declined the call. It vibrated again. He declined it. A third time. Answer it, Lena said. No. It might be important. Victor looked at her. Nothing is more important than what's happening in this room. 5 months ago, those words would have made her heart melt. Now they frightened her. That's your problem. Victor frowned. What is? Everything has to be absolute with you. He didn't understand. Lena continued. When you love someone, you love them until they can't breathe. When you protect someone, you build walls around them. When you're afraid, you control everything. Victor rose. You think I didn't have reasons? I never said that. Someone tried to kill me twice in 3 years. I know. A man was caught photographing you outside the gallery. I know. I received a picture of you with a message saying the next bullet wouldn't be for me. Lena looked away. She remembered. That had been the day everything changed. Victor had surrounded her with security. From that moment on, she was never alone. What was I supposed to do? He asked. Tell you to take a walk and hope nobody kidnapped you? You were supposed to ask me what I wanted. Victor opened his mouth. Nothing came out. You never did. I wanted you safe. And I wanted to feel alive. You were alive. No, Victor. I existed. He slowly sat down. Lena turned toward the rain-streaked window. When I found out I was pregnant, I was happy. Victor looked up. Then why didn't you tell me? Because 10 minutes later I imagined how our daughter would grow up. Lena rested her hand on her belly. I pictured a 5-year-old with 2 armed men following her through a playground, a 10-year-old who couldn't go anywhere without a driver, a 16-year-old whose father investigated every boy who looked at her. For the first time that night, the corner of Victor's mouth moved. At 16, no boys are looking at her. Lena stared at him. Victor realized what he had said. Bad example. A laugh escaped Lena before she could stop it. Victor smiled. For a few seconds, the 5 missing months disappeared. They were Lena and Victor again. The woman who had told him the expensive painting he wanted to buy was ugly, and the man who had fallen in love with her because she wasn't afraid to say it. Then Lena's smile faded. I missed you. Victor stopped breathing. Don't say that unless you mean it. I missed you every day. His eyes glistened. Then come home. Lena closed her eyes. There it was. Victor realized it immediately. He rubbed a hand across his face. I did it again. Yes. I'm sorry. No explanation. No justification. Just an apology. And somehow that meant more to Lena than all the diamonds he had ever bought her. A little while later, the doctor returned. His expression was calmer. The baby's heart rate has stabilized. Lena covered her mouth. She's okay? For now, yes. Victor released a breath. But I want you admitted for observation. That part isn't negotiable. I'll stay, Lena said immediately. Victor almost smiled. Don't, she warned. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. Am I still allowed to do that? For now. The doctor left. Victor slowly approached the bed. Can I? Lena didn't understand at first. Then he nodded toward her stomach. Something inside her softened. The old Victor wouldn't have asked. Yeah. He placed his palm gently against her belly. Nothing happened. He waited. Then, a tiny movement. Victor jerked his hand back. His eyes widened. Was that? Lena started laughing through her tears. That was her. My daughter? Our daughter. Victor placed his hand back. They waited. Another kick. Stronger this time. His eyes filled instantly. The feared head of the Moretti family stood beside a hospital bed with his hand against his wife's stomach and silently cried. Hi, he whispered. Lena bit her lip. I'm your dad. I think she knows. I haven't exactly had a chance to introduce myself. The pain in his words was impossible to miss. Lena covered his hand with hers. I'm sorry. Victor looked at her. No. Victor. Not you. He turned his hand and intertwined their fingers. If my pregnant wife would rather survive with $22 in her wallet than tell me where she is, then I did something terribly wrong. Lena stared at him. I can't change the last 5 months, he continued, but I can change what happens next. How? Victor hesitated. I don't know yet. That surprised her more than anything else. Victor always had an answer. But I'll learn. For the first time since leaving him, Lena wondered whether there could actually be a way back. Not to their old life, to something new. Morning found Manhattan washed clean by the storm. Lena woke after several hours of sleep. Victor was still there. He had fallen asleep in a chair, his head tilted back. Someone had brought him fresh clothes. His phone sat on the table beside him. 27 missed calls. Lena stared at it. This man controlled an empire, and he had spent the entire night sleeping in an uncomfortable hospital chair beside her. She shifted slightly. Victor's eyes opened immediately. What happened? Nothing. He was already standing. Are you in pain? No. The baby? Victor. Yes? I'm fine. He studied her for several seconds, then nodded. Okay. And sat back down. Lena smiled. Progress. I'm trying. The door opened. A man in his early 50s entered. Gray suit, silver at his temples, cold, watchful eyes. Lena recognized him immediately. Enzo. He had been at Victor's side since long before she entered his life. Enzo stopped when he saw her. For a moment, genuine emotion softened his face. Mrs. Moretti. Hello, Enzo. I'm glad you're safe. Victor stood. What happened? Enzo glanced toward Lena. We need to talk. Talk. In private. Victor's jaw tightened. I'm not leaving her. Victor, Lena said. Go. No. I'm surrounded by doctors. He hesitated. 5 minutes. Victor followed Enzo into the hallway. The door remained slightly open. Lena didn't intend to listen until she heard her name. We checked, Enzo said. And? It wasn't random. Lena froze. Victor's voice became cold. What wasn't random? The diner. A pause. Someone knew where Lena worked. Her hands went cold. Who? We don't know yet. Then find out. That isn't all. Lena slowly lowered her feet to the floor. Enzo continued. 2 weeks before Lena disappeared, somebody accessed her schedule, vehicle routes, and security reports. Victor went silent. From inside the family? Yes. Who? The access was logged under your credentials. Lena covered her mouth. Victor answered immediately. That's impossible. I know. Nobody uses my access. Somebody did. Lena opened the door. Both men turned. What are you talking about? Victor walked toward her. Go back to bed. No. Lena, please. Who knew where I was? Victor looked toward Enzo. Enzo said nothing. Victor? We don't know yet. Then what does it mean that someone used your credentials? Victor remained silent. And suddenly Lena remembered something. Something she had spent weeks convincing herself was paranoia. The car. Victor froze. What car? 3 times. Lena. In the last 2 weeks, the same black car was parked across the street from the diner. Victor's expression darkened. Why didn't you tell me that last night? Because I didn't know if it was real. I thought I was imagining things. Enzo stepped closer. What model? She told him. License plate? I never saw it. Victor pulled out his phone. Get every security camera within 6 blocks of that diner. We're already working on it. I want an answer now. Lena stared at him. For a moment, the old Victor had returned. Cold, dangerous, the MAFIA boss. But now her fear was different. If Victor had really stopped searching for her, then who had found her? They had the answer 2 hours later. Enzo returned carrying a tablet. Victor stood immediately. You found it? Yes. Enzo placed the tablet on the table. Security footage appeared. A black sedan parked across from the diner. Zoom in. Enzo enlarged the image. A man was sitting behind the wheel. Lena didn't recognize him. Victor did. His reaction terrified her. His face became completely still. You know him? Lena asked. Victor didn't answer. Victor. Enzo looked at him. You need to tell her. Tell me what? Victor dragged a hand across his mouth. That man used to work for my family. Used to? Until last year. Why did he leave? Silence. Victor, why? He finally looked at her. Because I discovered he was selling information about me. Lena felt a chill. To who? My enemies. Her hand instinctively moved over her stomach. Victor noticed. No. He approached her. Nobody touches you. Lena looked straight into his eyes. Stop saying that. He froze. Stop promising me you can control everything. Victor said nothing. Then slowly nodded. You're right. Lena looked back at the image. Then tell me the truth. Victor took a breath. The truth is that somebody knew you were pregnant before you left. Who? I don't know. And? Someone wanted to find you before I did. Lena felt the room closing around her. Why? Victor didn't answer. Enzo did. Because a Moretti child changes the balance inside the family. Lena stared at him. What does that mean? Victor closed his eyes. Enzo. She deserves to know. Lena turned toward her husband. What haven't you told me? Victor looked as if he didn't know where to begin. In my family, an heir changes things. She's a baby, Victor. To you and me, yes. And to them? Victor's silence answered for him. Lena stepped back. My God. Victor reached toward her. Lena, is that why you became so obsessed with protecting me? In part. In part. I didn't know who I could trust. Her eyes widened. And you never thought I deserved to know? I wanted to keep you away from it. She laughed bitterly. There it is again. You decided for me. I know. Those 2 words stopped her. Victor continued. And I was wrong. No excuses. No defense. If I could go back, I wouldn't surround you with more men. I'd tell you the truth and let you decide. Lena stared at him. And now? Now you decide. Victor reached into his pocket and placed a key on the table. What's that? The apartment I bought across the street. Lena blinked. You bought an apartment? Yes. Why? So I can stay close while you're here. Victor, not in your room, not in your home. No guards outside your door. Across the street. Lena said nothing. If you want me to leave New York after the baby is safe, I'll leave. That caught her completely off guard. You? Yes. You'd leave everything? If that's the only way you and our daughter can breathe without looking over your shoulders for me, yes. Tears filled Lena's eyes. I don't want you to leave. Victor froze. What? That was never what I wanted. She stepped closer. I wanted to be able to stay without losing myself. Victor looked at her for a long moment. Then he raised his hand, but stopped before touching her. Lena noticed. He was waiting. For the first time, Victor Moretti was waiting for her permission. Lena closed the distance herself. She wrapped her arms around him. Victor held her, not too tightly, not possessively, just enough for her to know he was there. I missed you, she whispered. I counted every day. I know. No, you don't. Lena looked up. Their faces were inches apart. Victor brushed his thumb lightly across her cheek. Can I? She understood. 5 months after she had disappeared, the man who once believed love gave him the right to decide everything was asking permission to kiss his own wife. Lena answered by leaning toward him. The kiss was brief, unsteady, filled with 5 months of anger, regret, longing, and love. When they separated, Victor rested his forehead against hers. I love you. I know. That isn't enough, is it? Lena smiled sadly. Now you're starting to understand. Victor almost laughed. Then Enzo's phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression changed. Victor. Victor turned. What? We have a problem. What happened? Enzo looked at Lena. The man in the photograph wasn't alone. Victor's expression hardened. Who was with him? Enzo turned the tablet around. Another image appeared, and this time Lena felt her knees weaken. She recognized the second man. She had eaten dinner with him, welcomed him into their home. Victor had trusted him for years. Lena whispered, No. Victor stepped toward the screen. His entire expression changed. The tenderness vanished. So did the fear. What remained was betrayal. Because the man standing beside the person who had secretly followed Lena was one of Victor Moretti's most trusted men, a man who had known about the pregnancy, a man who had access to Victor's security systems, and the same man who, on the night Lena disappeared, had put a hand on Victor's shoulder and told him, Let her go. If she loves you, she'll come back. Victor slowly looked at Enzo. Where is he? Enzo hesitated. He disappeared this morning. Lena wrapped both arms protectively around her belly. Victor. He turned toward her. What? If that man found me, her voice trembled, then he knows I'm here. At that exact moment, every light in the hospital room went dark. The monitor alarm began screaming. Footsteps echoed outside. Victor moved instantly, placing himself between Lena and the door. The handle slowly turned. The door opened. And from the darkness of the hallway, a man's voice said quietly, Victor. The mafia boss went completely still, because he recognized the voice. The hospital room went completely dark. The fetal monitor screamed beside Lena's bed. Victor moved before she could even process what was happening. He stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body as the door slowly opened. Victor. The voice came from the hallway. Victor froze. He knew that voice. Matteo. A tall man emerged beneath the dim red emergency lights. Matteo Ricci. For almost 10 years, he had been one of Victor's most trusted men. He had attended Victor and Lena's wedding. He had eaten at their table. He had stood beside Victor during some of the darkest years of the Moretti family. And now Victor had just seen a photograph of Matteo meeting with the man who had been following his pregnant wife. Don't come any closer, Victor said. Matteo stopped. Slowly, he raised both hands. I didn't come here to hurt her. Then why were you watching her? Lena stepped slightly out from behind Victor. You knew where I was? Matteo looked at her. There was no hatred in his eyes, only exhaustion. Yes. Victor took one step forward. How long? Almost a month. Victor's jaw tightened. And you left her working in that diner? I left her there because I was trying to keep everyone else from finding her. Victor stopped. What everyone else? Matteo looked past him. at Enzo. Tell him. Enzo didn't move. Victor slowly turned. Enzo? Lena immediately sensed something was wrong. Enzo took a step back. Victor. Matteo gave a humorless laugh. Exactly. Victor faced the man who had stood beside him for years. What does that mean? Enzo exhaled. It means Matteo isn't the man you should be worried about. Silence. Lena's hand moved protectively over her stomach. I don't understand. Matteo kept his eyes on Victor. When Lena disappeared, you stopped searching for her. Yes. He didn't. Victor looked at Enzo. For the first time, Enzo couldn't hold his gaze. You continued looking for her? For the security of the family. I ordered you to stop. You were blinded by emotion. I gave you an order. You were in love, Victor. You allowed a Moretti heir to disappear without protection. Lena stiffened. Victor took another step toward him. Did you find her? Enzo said nothing. Matteo answered for him. Yes. Lena felt the air leave her lungs. When? 6 weeks ago. Victor slowly turned toward Enzo. 6 weeks? Enzo lifted his chin. I never hurt her. You watched her. I protected what belongs to the family. Lena clenched her fists. I don't belong to anyone. Enzo looked at her. I wasn't talking about you. His eyes dropped toward her stomach. Victor changed instantly. Look at me. Enzo raised his eyes. If you ever speak about my daughter as though she's property again, you're finished. Victor, that's exactly what I'm trying to explain. You're not thinking clearly anymore. No. Victor's voice was terrifyingly calm. For the first time, I am. Enzo frowned. Victor pointed toward Lena. She ran from me because men like you spent years convincing me that protecting my family meant controlling them. That isn't why she left. Yes, it is. Victor looked at Lena. And because I believed you. Lena stared at him. A woman carrying my child chose a freezing rented room and $22 over coming home to me. His voice lowered. That doesn't happen because she doesn't understand our world. Victor looked back at Enzo. It happens because I failed to understand hers. Lena felt tears sting her eyes. Those words meant more than any apology Victor had given her. Enzo shook his head. You've become weak. Victor's expression didn't change. No. I finally learned that fear and loyalty aren't the same thing. Enzo reached into his coat. Matteo immediately tensed. Don't. Victor raised one hand. Nobody pulls a weapon. Enzo stared at him. Victor, we are in a hospital. His voice remained controlled. There are children in these rooms, pregnant women, families. Victor looked from Matteo to Enzo. Whatever happens between us, it does not happen here. Lena watched him. The old Victor would have answered a threat with a bigger threat. The man standing in front of her was doing something far more difficult. He was choosing restraint. Footsteps suddenly echoed from the end of the corridor. Several men appeared beneath the emergency lights. Matteo glanced toward them. Victor immediately turned to Lena. Matteo, get her somewhere safe. No. Victor looked at her. Lena. I'm not leaving without you. This isn't the time. You told me I get to choose. That stopped him. Then I choose to stay. For 1 second, despite everything, Victor almost smiled. You are impossible. You married me. Yes. His eyes softened. Best decision I ever made. Enzo lost his patience. This is exactly the problem. Victor turned. No. The problem is that for years I confused family with fear. Suddenly, the main lights flickered back on. Hospital security officers flooded the hallway from both directions. Matteo smiled faintly. I called them before I came upstairs. Enzo stared at him. Traitor. Matteo shook his head. No, I'm just tired of watching people destroy everything they love in the name of loyalty. Victor looked at Enzo. Leave. Enzo blinked. What? You no longer work for me. After 20 years? After 20 years, you forgot your place. Enzo laughed bitterly. I'm trying to save what you built. No. Victor stepped closer. You're trying to preserve a world where people are treated like possessions. Enzo glanced at Lena, then back at Victor. If you do this, half your people will think you've gone soft. Victor didn't hesitate. Then half my people can leave with you. Something changed in the hallway. Lena could feel it. This wasn't simply Victor firing a trusted man. It was the end of the old Victor Moretti. Enzo stared at Lena. A woman changed you. Victor followed his gaze. Lena stood beside the hospital bed, exhausted and frightened, one hand protecting their unborn daughter. Yes, Victor said. Then he looked directly at her. It was about time. Hospital security escorted Enzo and the men away. Matteo remained. Victor turned toward him. Why did you follow her? Matteo sighed. Because I discovered what Enzo was doing. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know who I could trust. Not even me? Matteo gave him a sad smile. The old Victor Moretti? He shook his head. No. Victor absorbed the answer without reacting. But then you stopped searching for Lena, Matteo continued. You actually respected what she asked you to do. He looked toward her. That's when I realized maybe there was still a chance. Victor extended his hand. Thank you. Matteo shook it. Don't thank me. He nodded toward Lena. She did the hard part. The following days were quieter. Lena remained in the hospital under observation. The baby stabilized. Her doctors were optimistic, but they wanted Lena resting and receiving regular care. Victor barely left. But something had changed. Now he asked, Do you want me to stay? Yes. Can I come in? Yes. Do you want me to call the doctor? Not yet. After 3 days, Lena finally laughed. This is killing you, isn't it? Victor looked up from the chair. What? Having to ask. Absolutely. Why? I'm discovering people are allowed to tell me no. Lena laughed harder. It's an important discovery. I hate it. You'll survive. Victor looked at her. For you, I'll learn. One afternoon, Lena found him standing beside the window. What are you thinking about? Home. Which one? Victor smiled. See? That was part of the problem. She raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I gave you houses everywhere and somehow never gave you a home. He turned toward her. I'm selling the penthouse. Lena nearly dropped her glass. What? You hated it. I didn't hate it. It was beautiful. You couldn't breathe there. Victor, that place is worth a fortune. So? She stared at him. Who are you, and what have you done with my husband? He laughed. I'm trying to repair him. Then his expression became serious. I don't want us to go back there. Why? Because every room reminds me of how hard I worked to create the perfect life for you without ever asking what your perfect life looked like. Lena lowered her eyes. So what happens now? Victor shrugged. What do you want? That question made her smile. A normal house. Define normal. A house where I can open the front door without 3 men appearing behind me. Victor grimaced. We're starting with the difficult demands. A little garden. Fine. No army of bodyguards. 2? She stared at him. 1? Victor. He lifted his hands. None. Thank you. A good security system. Negotiable. Progress. They both laughed. For the first time in a long time, their future didn't feel like a battle. 2 months later, Lena stood in the kitchen of a beautiful but surprisingly modest house outside Manhattan. It wasn't the mansion Victor would once have chosen. That was exactly why she loved it. There was a garden, large windows, a quiet street, and a kitchen where Victor had discovered he was almost completely useless. Lena walked in one morning and stopped. Smoke drifted above the stove. Did you burn water? Victor stared at the pot. Technically, no. The kitchen is full of smoke. Details. Lena burst out laughing. Her pregnancy was progressing well. Victor attended every appointment, not because he demanded to be there, because Lena wanted him there. That difference changed everything. One evening, they sat together on the couch. Victor rested his palm on her belly. Their daughter kicked. His eyes widened. She did it again. Yes, I think she likes me. You're her father. That guarantees nothing. Lena smiled. You've changed. Victor was quiet for a moment. I'm trying. I know. I'm still afraid. Of what? Everything. His eyes lowered toward her stomach. That I won't be able to protect her every second. That I won't always be there. That somebody could hurt either of you. Lena placed her hand over his. That's part of loving someone. Being afraid. Accepting that you can't control everything. Victor sighed. I still hate that part. I know. He smiled. But I'm learning. Several weeks later, Lena woke before sunrise with a strange tightening across her abdomen. She waited. Another came. Victor. Nothing. Victor. He opened one eye. I think we need to go to the hospital. Both eyes opened. What? He shot out of bed so quickly he nearly tripped. Contractions? I think so. How far apart? Lena stared at him. Since when do you know about contractions? Victor was already reaching for his phone. I've been reading. Reading what? Everything. Everything? Almost everything. Lena started laughing. This isn't funny. It really is. Do we have the hospital bag? Yes. Documents? Yes. The car? Victor. He stopped. Breathe. He stared at her. Me? Yes. You. Victor inhaled deeply. I'm calm. You look like you're preparing for war. I prefer wars. I can tell. Hours later, Victor stood beside her hospital bed. This time, there weren't dozens of men in the hallway. No shouting, no commands, no chaos. Just Victor, Lena, and the medical team. Victor held her hand. If you tell me to breathe one more time, I'm going to hit you, Lena groaned. The doctor said, Victor. He immediately nodded. I'm quiet. Thank you. Then everything changed. A cry filled the room. Strong, angry, alive. Victor froze. Lena burst into tears. Is she okay? The doctor smiled. She's doing beautifully. A nurse lifted their daughter. Tiny, red-faced, furious at the world. Victor started crying before he even touched her. My God, the nurse approached. Dad, would you like to hold her? Victor took a step backward. No. Lena stared at him. Victor? She's too small. That's generally how babies work. What if I drop her? Lena started laughing through her tears. The man half of Italy is afraid of is terrified of a 7-pound baby? Victor looked completely serious. Absolutely. The nurse helped position the baby in his arms. The second his daughter touched his chest, Victor stopped breathing. The little girl opened her eyes. He stared down at her, and Lena saw the exact moment Victor Moretti's heart ceased to belong to him. Hi, he whispered. His voice trembled. I'm your dad. The baby's tiny hand closed around his finger. Victor shut his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. I'm going to promise you something. Lena watched him. Victor kissed his daughter's forehead. I will never build you a cage. His eyes moved toward Lena. Not even a golden one. Lena began to cry. Victor approached the bed and carefully placed their daughter between them. The nurse smiled. Does she have a name? Victor looked at Lena. You choose. Lena smiled. No. No. We choose. Victor stared at her. One word, but it meant everything. We, together. Lena looked down at their daughter. Emilia. Victor smiled. Emilia Moretti. You like it? He stared at the baby. I already love her. I meant the name. Victor shrugged. I was talking about her. 1 year later, Lena stood inside the same Chelsea gallery where she and Victor had first met. Tonight, however, she wasn't an employee. She was hosting the opening exhibition for the independent arts foundation she had created. Her foundation, her work, her decision. Across the room, Victor stood with Amelia in his arms. No guards surrounding Lena, nobody tracking her every step, just a husband watching his wife do something she loved. A businessman approached Victor. Mr. Moretti, doesn't it bother you that your wife spends so much time here? Victor looked across the gallery. Lena was laughing with a group of artists, free, confident, happy. No, you don't worry. Victor looked down at Amelia. Every day. Then how do you allow it? Victor smiled faintly. I don't. The man looked confused. Victor continued. That was the lesson. He looked toward Lena again. She doesn't need my permission. The man said nothing. Victor gently rocked Amelia in his arms. I used to think loving someone meant removing every danger from their life. His expression softened. Now I know it means becoming the person they can come home to without being afraid. Across the room, Lena noticed him. She smiled. Victor lifted Amelia's little hand. Look, there's Mommy. The little girl laughed. Lena walked toward them. Having fun without me? Never. Victor handed her their daughter. Lena kissed Amelia's cheek. Then she kissed Victor. Ready to go home? Victor smiled. Wherever you want. Lena laughed. You really did learn. Slowly. They walked out of the gallery together. Victor didn't walk ahead of them. He didn't follow behind them. He walked beside them. And maybe that was the greatest change of all. Lena hadn't returned to Victor because she needed his money. She hadn't returned because of the Moretti name. She hadn't returned because of his power. She hadn't even returned simply because he was the father of her child. She returned because the man she once ran from had finally learned the difference between possessing a woman and loving her. And Victor discovered that the greatest demonstration of power wasn't controlling everything around him. It was opening the door and trusting that the woman he loved would freely choose to stay. If you stayed with Lena and Victor until the very end, tell us in the comments. Would you have given Victor a second chance after everything that happened? And if you enjoy emotional stories about impossible love, painful choices, hidden secrets, and second chances, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.